So a few weeks ago, we had the LGBTQ community getting the female symbol removed from tampons, and honestly, how I feel about that is quite varied, to be honest. Like, I can understand why, like, because people have got like issues where they have like, I think it's called gender dysmorphia or something. One of my friends was trying to educate me about it the other day, so like I can understand why they wouldn't want it on their like on the thing that they're using because they don't identify as female. But at the end of the day, it's a product that they need to be using for health reasons, really. So I think they should just grin and bear it and kind of like, just use it anyway, because otherwise it causes an uproar for other people, and it's just a massive issue that could have been avoided if they had just left the whole thing alone and left it how it was, because it didn't need changing. Anyway, now Remembrance Day is coming up, and they've decided to bring out rainbow-colored poppies. I've seen this post go around. I'm gonna like put up on the screen. It says, "Why am I seeing rainbow poppies being made? Not to be rude, but there is a whole month dedicated to the LGBTQ community. Can the heroes that fought for our country have one day to be remembered without it being about sexuality? It's going too far now." Okay, so with this, I can completely see where they're coming from. Like, on the Remembrance Day is about remembering fallen soldiers, all those who fought in the war for us, which is a really important day. And I think that making rainbow poppies is completely unnecessary, and I'll get into why. So just hear me out. So, the traditional red poppy, it represents all soldiers, like all of them, all that fought. That would include gay people for fighting back then as well. That would include them, all of the soldiers. It would include them all. Them, by making a rainbow poppy, is separating them from everyone else again, which I don't think is a good idea. I think it's the red poppy unites all of them, all the soldiers together. We remember however we choose to remember, or whoever we choose to remember, with the red poppy is what's important. So you could still have a red poppy and remember, I don't know, people who were gay back then who were struggling, like, because obviously they would back then they would get fucking beaten for being, that way, which is a horrible thing. But the thing is, the red poppy unites all soldiers together. So to like separate yourself from something that unites the soldiers and stuff, and is something that we remember, it's not right, I don't think. I completely understand that people like want to remember like those kinds of moments, because obviously the LGBTQ community has come really far since like all them years ago. Like, now they're much more accepted more than ever, and like they're all like, I understand like people in that community are having to fight like awful things daily because like, people still don't accept it, but for the majority, most people are very accepting of that now, and most people are willing to be nice and be helpful and stuff. Like, they're learning to get their heads around like that people are different and stuff, which is good to see. But on with these kind of things, like little things that don't need changing, that just cause more of an issue for everybody else, I don't think it's worth doing. Like, and people would say, "Oh, don't be like, don't disagree with it. Don't like think it's bad or anything because it's something so minute and stuff." Well, if it's so minute, then they don't need to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if those who are saying, "Oh, removing the symbol's no big deal," well, if it was no big deal to remove it, why'd you remove it anyway? You should have just left it how it was. Like, no big deal, so you won't miss it, eh? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy times that we're living in right now, and like loads of things are being changed that don't need to be changed. I mean, last year we had like gingerbread man being changed to gingerbread person, which was just so unnecessary. It didn't even need to be changed. It's just a fun festive thing that people eat. It didn't need to be any more than that. And what else did we have last year? We had, oh yeah, that was it. Man-sized tissues then got changed to just extra large tissues, which doesn't even make sense. Like, already it being called man-sized tissue, that doesn't really make sense in itself. But what's the point in changing something that doesn't need changing again? It's just like, that's what everyone known it as. You don't need to change something that doesn't need changing. And with these poppies, I think that with it being Remembrance Day, just leave it as the traditional red ones. That's like, it's an important thing, and it's been in history for years now. and I don't think there's any point in changing it or trying to make new ones, because it's just going to upset and offend other people, because they'll see it as disrespectful, which it kind of seems that way, even though it's not intended to be that way. Like, I completely understand that they're trying to make it a thing just about, like, you know, remembering those types of people, which I completely think is, like, you should remember them, you should be, like, happy of how far it's come, but you do have the LGBTQ community has an entire month dedicated to them, so they can use that month to celebrate how far they've come. They can use that month to, you know, or that month is completely surrounded by around them, for them anyway, and it's a huge celebration. So they just need to use that month for all that stuff and leave Remembrance Day alone. Let people remember the soldiers, that how they want to remember them. They can choose to use it to remember the gay soldiers back then. They can use it to remember and think about that, without having to change the poppy, because the red poppy, like I said, it unites all soldiers. And another thing that I'm seeing is that people was going on about it like there was loads and loads of gay soldiers back then. There wasn't many. It was a very, very minute amount back then, and because it wasn't such a big thing back then, and not many people were accepting of it either. So a lot of people weren't it, or if they were like, they used to hide it or were scared to show it. But again, it was a very, very minute amount of people that were, and especially in the war, like, that's an even smaller number of, like, homosexuals or gay people in the war. That's a very, very low number. So it's like, I'm not saying it means nothing, but I'm just saying, like, compared to how it is now, like, everyone's open. If they're gay, they're kind of like openly about it, you know. Obviously some people still go through struggles, like, I'm not denying that, so please don't think that, but like, from how far it's come, I just think that we don't need to have made, like, a new poppy. There's no point in it, because the red one unites all of them, and the red poppy, you can choose to remember whoever you want, however you want. So I just think that this was unnecessary, and again, it's just like, it's offended and upset people, which is supposed to be like the opposite of what it's supposed to do. So I think with that kind of stuff, you've just got to be, like, really careful, and just not to keep changing all these little things that don't need changing, and not to keep messing with stuff, because it's just going to offend and annoy more people. And it's, in the end, realistically, because of all these things that happen, and people are starting to get pissed off, so they're going to start not being as accepting and not being as nice to people of that community, which is, again, not a good thing. So if you just leave the stuff alone that doesn't need to be messed with, then life's going to be so much easier. I don't know. Everyone, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. I'd love to see, like, some opinions about this. Like, I completely understand that this is, like, a very sensitive topic for quite a lot of people. Like, some people are going to be like, yep, fuck having the rainbow poppy. Some people are going to be like, I think it's good. You know, let's see what everyone thinks. Personally, like I've said, I think it's unnecessary and didn't need to be a thing, along with, like, the tampon thing, which was even more unnecessary. Like, you don't need to remove a symbol. It was just so unnecessary. But I guess, like, that's the times we're in right now, where people are just getting unnecessary things changed, even if it makes, like, just a couple people feel more better. Like, and at this point, we're kind of in, like, the snowflake community. This is why we're known as the Snowflake Generation by, like, older generations, because, like, when you, like, I'll compare it to this, right? Why we're called Snowflake Generation is because, like, when you do a race at, like, school and stuff now, like, all participants are given a medal. Even if you lost, you're given a medal, like, which is ridiculous. You don't get, in life, you don't get a fucking medal for losing. You get a medal or whatever if you come in the top 3, like, and that's how it should be. You shouldn't get, like, a participation medal. It's ridiculous. Like, I can't be asked to talk about this anymore, to be honest. It's very frustrating to see, like, where times are going with this. And by the way, I'm not calling, like, frustrating about, like, fucking people with LGBT who are in the LGBTQ community. I want to make that very clear that I have no problem with anyone in the in that community. What I have a problem with is things being changed unnecessarily, and just, yeah, things being changed that don't need changing and stuff. Like, that's when it starts to become a little bit frustrating. So that's kind of how I see things anyway. Let me know what you all think down in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to read it. And until the next one, peace.
Yeah, they love to see you at your worst. Stick the knife in where it hurts. Fuck 'em all, I know my worth. I'm cashing in for that purse. I spent years in that dirt. Now I'm taking chances, I'm building my own church. They can't take away what you've been going through for years. But I'm back in this bitch, overcoming these fears.